Hello everybody, aliens and earthlings, welcome to UAP Society, back at you with another Friday banger of an episode, and that was episode 3 of the UFO Revolution with Jeremy Corbell, sponsored by TMZ, of all things, and broadcasted on Tubi, as well as here. So, Jeremy Corbell says that we need to protect whistleblowers at all costs, but I say to you, if you want to protect and support your most favorite whistleblowers in all of the universe, put your face and name out there, because they can't stop us all at once, right? The more and more of us come on here and share our experience, our stories, without fear of ridicule or stigma, that's going to do it. It'll create a critical mass, and they can't stop the flood, all right? So we're going to have an open discussion for about an hour or so to talk about all 3 episodes, and let's have an honest and open and fun discussion. And once again, by participating in this discussion that we're having here, UAP Society Discord, you do inherently agree and consent to being on UAP Society YouTube for the thousands and thousands of people that are going to be watching this. Let's have some fun. Let's get it. I'm going to open the floor. For those of you that have cameras, feel free to jump on in. If you guys are shy, feel free to type your questions in the chat, all right? And we got some people on camera. Let's start off with Grey Druid. If you can share where you're from, your social media as well, that'd be awesome.
Thank you, George, for the G. So my name is Daniel. I go by Grey Druid. I have a TikTok that's devoted towards parapsychology, remote viewing, and NHI interaction. And I also have a YouTube as well. We also will be dropping, we'll be recording this next week for Cosmic Convergence, which is a group channel that John, We Are One Consciousness, and also Chris with Transcendence. And we're going to be kind of doing a whole series that way. So thank you for that. But yeah, super exciting. Loved this episode and loved the whole series altogether. It was fantastic. I really thought that TMZ really knocked it out of the park with it. And yeah, super excited to discuss this. I'm going to hand this off to John.
I guess I'm next up to bat, and welcome everybody. I'm glad to see so many people here in the watch party willing to participate. I hope to hear from every one of you. My name's John. TikTok is We Are One Consciousness, looking to expand that into YouTube sometime this year. I have the distinct privilege of being surrounded by my own personal luminaries, which is all of you currently here. And it was a great series. I knew it would be. I know that at first, a lot of the naysayers were stating, well, it's TMZ, they're nothing more than, an online rag, if you will. And I just knew that Corbell would, for the most part, knock the ball right out of the park, and that it would really get the conversation going. And the important part about this 3-part series really is, yeah, that's a lot of really good information, but it reaches the audience of TMZ, and they may not be that aware of the UFO UAP phenomena, as it were. And now it's bringing in all these people that have all these questions, and they're becoming part of the conversation, whether they're don't believe in it or do believe in it. They're still part of the conversation. So it's like the alien mummies that they were talking about in episode 2. Okay, the Nazca mummies. All right, that's still, whether you're on one side of the fence or not, you're still talking about it. It's getting into that consciousness of the world. And so even if nothing else, that's a highlight. That's a highlight. So I look forward to hearing from everybody. I feel so grateful to be here with everybody again today, and let's get this conversation rolling.
All right, John, pass it off to who's next that has video and a microphone.
RNG, take it.
Hey guys, my name's Ryan Wood. I'm kind of newer to the space, but I'm loving it. You guys are all really fun to follow. I'm honestly trying to dip my toe into everybody's little pools as far as like their social medias and the YouTubes and everything that you guys are sharing, but it's all very impressive, and I mean that earnestly. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. You guys are a really nice, diverse crowd with lots of good ideas to this. My social at the moment is Ryan Wood 7644 on YouTube. I'm working on a website. I'm working on social media. I'm working on these things. I've had the privilege of neglecting them for like a decade or so, but here I am. I think this is important at the very least. I think we all feel this is important. We all have a feeling inside. We're following our intuition, and it's all positive, really. There's scary aspects too. There's lots to almost fall into fear on it, but that's why I'm here, because by myself is how I'm a lot more afraid of this subject. Hearing you guys kind of all have a very similar word that sounds like, let's try to be positive, good people. I love it. Simple. I love it. And then I don't know about you guys, but the Grush and Herrera, I'm sorry if I'm skipping ahead, but Grush and Herrera recently kind of saying, let's try to make positive connection to the positive beings that inevitably live in the infinite universe around us. We know they're there. That infinite, we got infinite. Infinite's pushing it, so they're out there. If we could be good, we're not the only ones. We know that. You know what I mean? So, I appreciate everybody's time. I appreciate everybody coming here tonight and kind of pushing this subject further. I'm for the first day of my life, I'm a firmer believer in disclosure, and that is a really big change for me. And I'm saying that because I've been on the fence. I've been on the fence of disclosure for a while, but you guys are really helping me understand this, and I'm pushing forward with you guys. I like it. Thank you for having me here.
Very cool. Thank you, Mr. Wood. And for everybody watching, he is the second place winner of UAP Society, the Lato Files DSci contest, with his camera proposal and idea, which we will be learning about more fairly shortly. And we also have Lunar with us. Lunar, go ahead and introduce yourself to the thousands of people that'll be watching this.
Yeah, push to talk, buddy.
Let us know when you're ready, and while he figures that out, we have Nebula with us. Nebula, are you camera shy today? You're usually on camera. Come on board, join us. And Allie, where are you at? You know it's a Friday. It's a Freaky Friday. It wouldn't be one without you.
Hey man, I'm here. I'm working behind the scenes, putting everybody's info in the chat. I just wanted to thank everybody that showed up today and yesterday and the day before for these watch parties. You know, we love getting together with you guys. This is like the best part about this place, is that it's not just one person running the show and being a dictator. It's literally a huge collab, like 24/7 alien collaboration. So much love to everybody here physically. Much love to everybody that's going to be watching this later on. Please check out all of the links that I'm putting in the chat of everybody here's socials, because everybody here is putting out good work. We're all fighting the UFO fight and keeping this disclosure ball rolling. Rock and roll, yeah!
Yeah, baby. And we also got one of the most awesome UAP Society Discord mods. We've got Sister Leslie, Light Being Love, here with us, gracing us with her presence today. Say hello to the lovely aliens and earthlings out there, Leslie.
Hello, everyone. I didn't know I was going to get called out. So, hi, I'm not going to go on camera. But hello, I'm happy to be here. I enjoyed the show. And much love to everybody. Thank you all.
Very cool. We also got with us Cheshire Cat, Espion, we've got John Budweiser, we got Justin143, we got Cosmic Cathedral, and we are still waiting on Lunar. Lunar, do you got your voice and video set up? 3, 2, 1, no. Boom! Okay, so let's get at it while he figures out his connection, right? Let's open the floor.
I've kind of got a question. It's a lot that I've seen theorized here lately, and I want to see what people's feedback is on this. Now, it's a potential, and I know that some channelers like Bashar have mentioned it, that these beings that we're being in contact with, these NHI, these aliens, are advanced human civilization from the future that are coming to us to impart knowledge about how to take care of the planet and stuff, because we're in such turmoil right now. And I'm going to put my thoughts about it aside at the moment. And I just want to see what the general consensus is about that theory, because I'm kind of fascinated more by like how many people might really believe this than the theory itself. You know, not to mic drop or anything. Just, anytime anybody wants to come in. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, not to get too specific, really. It's so hard. Yeah. I'm saying I know the time travelers. I know how they work. Like, no, of course not. But it brings to question the paradoxes. I'm as much of an expert, I guess, on this as most people would be. Back to the Future 1, 2, 3. A bunch of different movies and sci-fi. And I've spent lots of thinking about it, at least. But yeah, it is something I would consider in the realm of possibility, I guess is a way to say it.
Fair enough. Anybody else want to chime in there? Druid?
Sorry, I was helping Chris get technicals. Sorry, the question was about the future human theory.
Yes.
I think it's in the realm of possibilities. My personal take is that it is too limited when it comes to the phenomenon. I think it sits well with a lot of experiencers and people that are approaching the NHI. The ET aspect is purely physical. Keeping it there, they haven't reached the part where it's spiritual and you have interdimensional aspects going on. I think it's my personal take is that it's a theory that it's on the step to eventually learning more about the phenomena, and it's a lot more it's a lot wider phenomenon than when we assume, versus just purely physical, purely from the future humans and stuff. That's my own take.
Chris, with Transcendent Vibe, Transcendence, I know that you've kind of delved into this quite a bit through Bashar's teachings and such. Do you have anything to contribute about the humans, advanced civilization coming and visiting us? Push to talk. Can't hear you. Nebula, do you have anything to chime in about that? I know that you've been in contact with the Galactic Federation. Everybody welcome Nebula. Love Nebula. Please, if anybody has an opportunity, check out Nebula's TikTok and YouTube, correct? You are on YouTube as well, and well worth it.
Thank you so much. I missed that last little bit. I just came on, but I do have some important stuff to talk about today.
Feel free.
So it's come to my attention that multiple people are having encounters, like in the third density. It's no longer just in the astral plane or the dream worlds, the other dimensions. It's in this dimension. I've been contacted by an individual, a friend on TikTok, and he had an encounter in his bedroom and his home and everything, but he wishes to remain anonymous. But he sent me a picture, and we're going to analyze it later. And someone else I saw on TikTok, someone that has nothing to do with aliens or spirituality or anything, also seen a misty or like a shimmering being the other night. And it's like, oh my God, like more and more people I've noticed are seeing these things, and they're coming to me and telling me about it. So I think it's very important right now to establish some protocols. Since the government's not going to do it, we need to collectively establish protocols. I'm already starting to type these protocols up. I'll run them by all of you, and maybe we can get some edits and see if we can add anything if you like them. Then I'll make a video about it, and then we can share it all around the whole communities and everywhere. These will be the established contact protocols.
And that's a great idea. I mean, because honestly, if we were to depend on the government disclosing and giving us information about what's in contact with us, we wouldn't be even as far as we are right now as far as society or human civilization is concerned. So depending upon them for how we're going to make contact. It's not going to be this White House lawn landing. It's going to come from the people, which is why past year I thought, hey, you know what? Disclosure is going to come from the people. It's not going to come from, and that's my personal feeling, it's not going to come from the establishment. It may come from a whistleblower, but still they're part of the people, okay? And so we all have to kind of unify on how are we going to interact with these entities once they become known. And I applaud you for doing that. And I think I'm safe to say anybody that's in here, if you wanted their input, we'd be more than happy to help collaborate or give our thoughts and ideas on that. So thank you so much. And more people are experiencing direct contacts. I know that I had a discussion with Nebula last weekend about our contact experiences, and I've heard of others as well. And so they're making themselves more known. That you just go in with an open mind and an open heart, and you will find that things are going to come your way.
And John,
I'm going to pass it on to somebody else.
I'd like to bring it back to your mic drop earlier. Your initial question was what we thought of the messages that were received from various channelers, such as Bashar. And for the people that aren't familiar with Bashar, Bashar is one of the most popular worldwide known channelers, and he gives regular tours on the circuit where he is in contact with a benevolent entity that speaks through him, and Bashar is very articulate, and I've heard it described best, and John, you can attest to this. When we met with Grant Cameron said one of the defining characteristics of whether or not to determine a channeler is indeed channeling a non-human intelligence through their person is that they don't stutter, or they don't hold back when it comes to like talking. It just naturally flows. They don't stop their words with like or so it just flows. And for anyone out there that hasn't seen any of Bashar's videos, I'd highly recommend that you check it out, because he's just sick with it. He flows with the information, and it's super organic and natural. And when I think of the question, John, that you initially posed as to whether or not the messages that some of the channelers have been receiving, I have to contrast that with some of the more concerning cases that have been documented throughout, recent history, decades gone past, where people have encountered negative experiences with the phenomena. I mean, aside from the abduction aspect, the taking of sperm and eggs against one's will, you've got stories and cases of human mutilation. You got missing people that, we still don't know where they are. And I think with this latest episode of the UFO Revolution, you had a lot of luminaries in this particular episode that not only expressed, their optimistic outlook on perhaps these entities looking out for us, but you also had a fair share of people and researchers who state, hey, maybe they're not all good. Maybe we should be concerned because they're scouting us out. They're checking out our defensive and offensive capabilities. They see that we're kind of fucking up with the care of our planet, and perhaps we may be harvested in a way that we just don't know about yet, right? Any thoughts on that?
I brought up the initial question because I didn't expect so much coverage about the that the entities are future humans. I didn't expect that much in the conversation of episode 3. I do honor and respect them for bringing that subject in. Whether it took too much time throughout the episode, that's all up to the individual. But that's why I kind of wanted to pose that question, because I know that we have some in UAP Society that are with us right now that are actually more knowledgeable on that aspect with Bashar and what he says than I am. But that's why I was trying to open it up to Transcendence. Transcendence, do you mind going ahead and taking it from here?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, everybody. My name is Christian with Transcendence podcast show on YouTube. You can find me at Transcendent Vibe. And same name on TikTok. I do like Bashar. Just to give a little background, when I started looking into near-death experiences, I also discovered Bashar, and I also discovered that people who were having near-death experiences were also saying the same things that channelers were saying, which were also saying the same things that mediums were saying about what the other side is like. And that's what I found most fascinating, especially with Bashar, who was claiming to channel, Daryl Anka was claiming to channel an entity, and he was sharing the same things, again, that near-death experiencers share, that we don't die, that death is actually an illusion. And for a lot of people, I know it's who are new to this, it's hard to get into channelers and understanding like the raw material, people like Bashar, Wendy Kennedy, things like that. But there are scientists and doctors that are actually investigating these individuals. And Bashar recently, Daryl Anka went to get monitored under an EEG, encephalogram, and everything. And the doctor was blown away because she was seeing that his brain, whenever he's in the channeling state, his brain is going into the gamma wavelength. So that's what monks actually do. And they don't know how he's doing it. And they're saying that the portion of his brain that's responsible for Daryl, his personality, is actually going dormant. And basically the message is that all these channelers are coming out because now we're in a time of transformation, that people are starting to share more of this information about what actually happens to us when we leave the physical body, that we're here for a reason, we're all one, messages like that, why beings are visiting. And somebody did ask the question, are there negative beings to Bashar? And he said, of course there is. He says this is a duality. But at the same time, he makes me laugh because he's like, what does that have to do with you? He says, it depends. He asked the question, what do you prefer? If you align with that and you fall into fear, it's a lot easier for beings like that to manipulate, to come in contact with you. But it's kind of like oil and water. So it's just like if you're more of a loving being, and even though you know another being may be acting unskillful towards yourself, and you treat them with love, it's just they kind of don't want to be around that. So I'll just leave it there just to give other people a chance to talk. But
It's interesting that you mentioned that Bashar was subjected to an EEG, an electroencephalogram, where they
have it on camera.
Very cool. I'm going to check that out. And, you know, I'd like to kind of tie this to Nebula's idea to establish various techniques for contact protocols. And also, you know, they had Gary Nolan on, you know, a couple of these UFO Revolution episodes that we had. And, you know, he was recently seen as kind of sharing this research where experiencers who have experienced the phenomena, you know, he too had studied the brains of these various experiencers, and it led to the findings of anatomical changes in the brain where there is an increase of neuronal density, specifically in the basal ganglia area of the brain. And the finding of this increase of neuronal density suggests that perhaps these experiencers sort of unlock some kind of potential or PK psi ability, right? A lot of the people here in this chat are experiencers, including yours truly. Mine was as recently as this past June of 2023, and ever since then, I can't explain it, but I'd like to pose the question to the panel here. Since your initial contact with the phenomena, have you noticed any kind of extra sensory capabilities when it comes to psi or PK?
Yes, if I may go. I've always been open-minded, even before I established contact 16 years ago. But ever since then, increasingly over the years, I've become more aware, and it's like my intuition is like through the roof, and it's even increased even more lately with the new contact that's going on. And there's this new phenomenon that I'm going through that I haven't got to talk about yet. but it's where I am aware of timeline shifting, and it's like things change in my life, and I'm like, it's hard to keep up with at this point. And it's like I'm more aware of it. It's like looking at someone surfing instead of being the surfer. I'm seeing myself shifting through timelines, and stuff is changing around me, and I'm aware of the changes. I'm no longer oblivious to it. It's pretty wild.
And where mine is, I mean, this past year and a half has been just mind blowing. Like I said, I should probably write a book about it, but I'm not an author, so I just talk about parts of it. It's just like going into the universal consciousness, the one consciousness, and then having that kind of proven to me by whether it's I witness something that Grey Druid is going through, or I witness something that Transcendence Vibe is going through, and the correlation of dreams, which I still put quotation marks on those because they seem to be more than just dreams, and this being able to contact my other selves while they may be in a different form, and having that correspondence and feeling that love, and whether those are psi abilities or not, everything's starting to open up more and more, and you would think, okay, well, there's got to be an end to this, but there isn't. So you don't even think about that anymore. It's just one experience after another experience after another experience. It's not every hour. It may not be every day, but as soon as I've started to develop, which I heard before when I was younger, the more you know, the less you know. And that's I think that's one of the lessons that these NHI or these interdimensional beings, what have you, are trying to teach us, because not everything is as solid or as real as we see things are real, whether that be multidimensional, whether that be, ethereal plane, all these different planes of existence, space-time. We have really no clue. We're infants. And we're just learning to, I don't even know, crawl, maybe. And they just have a lot of information that they're trying to give to us, but it's more on a collective level now. I mean, look at everybody that's here, even from people that we haven't heard from yet, which I hope we do, which I'll go ahead and stop what I'm saying right now. I'd like to really hear what more people's experiences are, because as this kind of episode 3 kind of left off at, okay, is there's a lot of people out there that have their experiences. They just really haven't talked about it yet. And we need to hear more of those voices, which is why we're here, really. It's not about me personally, individually. It's about all of us collectively. So please, anybody chime in. I'd love to hear.
So really quick, I wanted to add to, and then I would like to genuinely hear anybody that's able to talk that's not on video and share your experience. So I'd second that with John. So I wanted to add really quick. So George, remember when we came on and we interviewed Grant Cameron, and he talked about that specifically of the channeling where the person was able to articulate fully, like you said at the early part of the segment. When we were interviewing him, I realized the channeling session I personally had done, I hadn't stuttered or stopped or anything like that, because I remembered, and I was like, oh my God, it was like a steady flow of information that they were using. And again, I will say this. I've done 4 years of remote viewing. I've done a lot of crazy stuff, but I didn't believe in channeling. I really didn't. I thought it was BS. I saw Bashir and I was like, okay, it sounds like stuff that's legit, but I don't know, man. And then I had my encounters this last year, as much as we all have had, it's been upping and like new experiences. But once I had that channeling session because I could feel that they wanted to talk, my girlfriend wrote everything down. It was one of the most intense experiences I've ever had. And but it was so weird having that happen, not saying really anything about that. And then Mr. Cameron confirming that. I was just like, oh my God. So, okay, it's real. It's happened. And so it's just really cool. having these experiences and also it being interlinked with each other as we are networking or connecting, having synchronicities. John, he dreamt about what was going on when I was channeling, and I didn't tell him until he told me like an hour later. And so it's just really, really cool. So anyway, I just wanted to add that, and then I want to open the floor to anybody else.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Fuck, that's
incredible. I don't know if it really means anything. I know I said shut up, but you know me. So like last night as I was sleeping, I had a dream. Again, I'm going to continue to put dreams in quotations, that you and I, Daniel, were talking to a light being. Okay, so I woke up and I smoke. I had a cigarette in the kitchen, and off the corner I saw a pillar of light show up, and then of course as quickly as it went like this, I didn't see it anymore, and there was no explanation for it. So I mean, it's one has to open their minds to these things. If it's automatically dismissed, guess what? You're not going to experience. This is my viewpoint. You're not going to experience things. Okay, if you shut yourself off to it, why should they bother? And I think that since we're all part of the universe, we're all beacons of light. Okay, and our beacon, all right, is our frequency or our vibration or whatever have you. So yes, sometimes even we can be at the highest frequency. That's going to attract some of the negative frequency. They're going to try to lower you down. I mean, you gotta fit with the program. Like it was said in episode 2. Correct me, George. I can't remember who said it. The nail that stands up the highest is going to be the one that's hit by the hammer, kind of essentially, right? You're going to have to deal with things, just like you're going to have to deal with people in life, right? You're going to have to deal with positive, negative entities. But we're all beacons of light from the universe, trying to experience. And so we are going to be getting these messages. Okay. We're going to be getting these messages from these NHIs. And if we shut off the radio, right, we don't retain the message. So you got to keep yourself open.
I love that message. And I got to admit, I've been swayed into like low frequency vibrations by, just thinking about these cases from historical antiquity, about negative experiences with the NHI, but clearly something is going on with the influence of these beings and the profound impact it is having individually and collectively with the human experience. And Allie, I want to ask you in terms of the next stage of human evolution, and I'd like to credit Allie and Justin for helping me with my own contact protocol and having my breakthrough, because it's one thing to just watch videos and read about the phenomena. That's just one thing entirely. But it's a whole other thing to experience it for oneself, right? And it's like night and day. Allie, can you speak to that?
Sure, and thanks for mentioning that. On my server, the Hello Allie Discord server, I've been doing weekly CE5 group meditations for over 2 years now. Like literally when I first started doing it, it was on Friday nights, but then we shifted to Saturday nights. But that's irrelevant. The point is that we've been doing this together for a long time, and I just always found it valuable to get people together. And man, the group that we have going now is so crazy synced up. It is ridiculous. I mean, we've had like 5 synchronicities just in this chat alone in this past 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's just really cool that when you link up with people that all share the same intention, because when you do CE5, it's all about intention, right? It's all about what energy you're bringing to the table. If you come to the table with the intent to connect with benevolent beings, with a loving, open heart, full of gratitude, you get results. And, a lot of people think that CE5 is just, standing around in a field and you got a laser in your hand and you're looking up to the sky and you're going to see some blinky lights and stuff like that, which, is a very valid form of CE5. However, it's not the end all be all. There's all different forms of contact. There's physical experiences, there's downloads, there's third eye visions, there's you can do CE5 on a Saturday night and have a dream on Monday night that'll be synchronistic to what you experienced 2 days prior. Communication comes in all different forms. And if you guys have never heard of Peter Maxwell Slattery, he has a YouTube channel. I'll post it in just a second. He runs the Australian ESETI group, and he has really good playlists on what CE5 is, how you should prepare, how you should perform, and how you should carry yourself. Because when you open yourself up to these types of experiences, you better be ready for shit to happen, because it will. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me okay?
Sure
Yes,
can,
hello.
Voodoo Lord. Hey, welcome.
Oh, finally. Jeebus Creevus. I had it on auto talk. So I'm coming in late, and I am super sorry. I didn't even know all this was going on. So just in a nutshell, could somebody just let me know what I missed? Or is that like a lot to ask?
Well, it's kind of a heavy duty question because in relation to the UFO Revolutions episodes like 1 through 3, a lot of topics were covered, but at the ending of this 3-part series, we were kind of talking about where Jeremy Corbell had left off in terms of people being the forebearers and frontrunners of the disclosure movement, as well as protecting whistleblowers.
Now, we are one consciousness. I heard what you'd said. Hey, how's it going? I heard what you said earlier, and a lot of what you were saying is exactly where the road that I'm going down, because I've been having experiences that are pretty profound. And it sucks that I missed this conversation this far. How long have you guys been talking?
Oh gosh, we're coming up on 37 minutes, but you and I, Voodoo Lord, we've talked before in the past, and you've had some pretty intense experiences, and please feel free to share them, whether it's good or not so righteous. We're open to it, to hopefully give you perspective, yeah?
No, I love perspective, and that's there's something about just the fact that we're all here sharing these types of things. No matter whether they feel valid to other people or they're valid to ourselves, they are our experiences, and if we're all honest, then that's those things are valid, and it's extremely important to me to hear other people that are having these experiences in the even if they're different than me, but they all seem to dovetail into the same idea. And I just caught the very end of what you were saying, consciousness, and I was trying to scream at the fucking rooftops. Why ain't my mic working? But I'm not gonna interrupt your what you were saying. I have a very interesting take on this stuff, just from my own experiences, and I'm sure George could
bro
maybe...
come out with it. There have been times where you've messaged me in the past late at night because you needed someone to talk to, and I appreciate that. I'm always here for you, bro, but share with the audience, and if you don't mind, this is going to be watched by lots of people, so not only should we focus on the positive messaging, but also the not so righteous messaging, because there are people just like you, right?
But we're talking about years and years ago where it was pretty rough. But then also, there was like 8 months ago there was some sketchy shit. But
you mind going into details, my friend?
That depends on if you guys want to listen.
Yeah, if you can surmise it, in a nutshell, I guess the highlights for you, the things that resonated the most with you in terms of feeling, yeah.
Well, do you want me to talk about the stuff that happened in the early 90s, or?
Let's go with the most recent one. Let's start with that.
Well, that was actually really recent.
Right.
That was.
You're in a safe space, bro. You're in a safe space.
That was Wednesday.
All right. What did you experience with the phenomena?
Well, what it told me was it basically showed me a like this massive wall of energy, and what it said was what we are right now is we have clawed our way out of this wall of energy and created our own thing, if that makes sense. It's like we just scraped out of this wall of consciousness, and we created our own consciousness from it. Like say it's super hard to describe. So say you have a giant wall of consciousness, and you have just this space underneath it, and as you scrape out with your, like, imagine your fingers just grabbing into this consciousness, scraping it out, and everything that comes out of it is what your consciousness is. Does that make sense? I'm sure it doesn't.
The phenomenon's very hard to explain because a lot of it is not words based. So I totally understand that, not understanding how to express it.
It was basically that we're God damn it. I'm gonna try to. I haven't had a lot of time to really dial this in, but what it was that we think about our consciousness as we're an entity, and then there's a higher power. But what it is that higher power was always there, and that we scraped an existence out of that higher power, if that makes sense.
Becoming like more in tune with the, well, as I would see it, the universe, the creator, becoming more in tune.
No, we actually scraped our existence out of that higher power. That higher power was there, and it's like you say you have a giant fucking piece of cheese, right? That's an infinite piece of cheese, and then you just take this giant fucking fork and you scrape out the consciousness out of it, and that becomes you. Does that make sense?
We're all fractals experiencing consciousness. We're fractal experiences, fractal.
I know this one. It's the second time that I've had this, and so I put some validity to it. But it was really that. God damn it! This is actually not where I wanted to go. But it was that we've clawed our way from the whole body consciousness into our own entities. If that, God damn it, it's hard.
It's okay. Yeah, it's hard to express. Believe you me, I've had experience. I think it's safe to say that everybody here has had experiences to where it's like, okay, human language in any form, not good enough. And it's just, we try to express, and then when we're done expressing, we're just like, I didn't get that across completely.
Yeah,
so I understand your frustration.
I wish I could share my head, then you could see what it was describing to me, because what I was seeing, it was kind of like, yeah, you got it right there. It was literally, we have scraped ourselves out of this main consciousness, and we're living that part of what we scraped out of this. God, it's almost like the
Is it like I'm sorry. Is it kind of like we're unlocking ourselves in a way? Like we're like, instead of being buried in the ground, we're kind of rising to the surface?
You're overthinking it. No, it was that there was a conscious, basically a god, and you can actually go into a Native American tradition when they talk about like say the Devil's Tower, and that the scrape was a giant bear that scraped the earth into existence. You know what I'm talking about?
Hey, can I just ask, are you trying to say, like our creation was unintentional? Are you implying that in any way? I'm not sure.
No, and that's why it's so fucking hard to describe this. It was intentional. We scraped ourselves out of that consciousness, and then we became aware. And it's, I don't know, man. It's
What did you
man,
become? What did you become aware of? Because Leslie posted this funny GIF of a rhinoceros giving birth to a human, and when I reflect on some of the things that you've said, it's almost as if we're coming to some kind of awareness from sort of like an infantile kind of level, right? What does this mean for you, and how do you frame this?
I think you're overthinking it a little bit.
If you can put
Okay.
it simply,
I'm trying my ass off. Trust me. Okay.
Anyone have any
So
thoughts on
imagine,
this? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Imagine that the entire universe is the entire thought of consciousness is this giant fucking cake. Okay? And that's where we all reside anyways. But then you could just put your fingers into it and just scrape this huge amount out, like with your fingers, and then that amount that comes out, it becomes like multiple consciousness all over the place.
Okay, so like so kind of like a separation.
One thing people have asked Bashar about existence, and he says existence is always has been, always been there. And yes, there are starts and stops, but that's within creation, within existence. But he says that we're all a part of the one source or the one God, whatever word you want to use for that. And God is experiencing itself as everything, as all that is. And when you go into Dolores Cannon's work, she talks about how the soul actually goes through this kind of like evolutionary process where we experience ourselves as everything as well to learn. So we were a rock, we were a bird, we were a tree, we were all these things up until we got into a higher level of awareness, and then we became a human person, and the levels just keep going, and then that's where you start going into like higher dimensional beings, and that's when we start going into what people call angels, or people also refer to as ETs, things like that.
The only reason I brought this up is it's not the first time; it's the second time this has come up. And part of what it was implying was, and I was really kind of deep diving on this through my mind, was our entire existence, like including all of our warships, including all of our nations, all the people, all of this was just a scraping of like taking away from that Godhead. And it was also multiple dimensions. So there was another one right next to it where you're scraping off the Godhead too, but it's not exactly the same. It's difficult. It's hard for me to describe.
And you know,
Bashar
Voodoo
mentioned
sorry for interrupting, Lunar, but I'd like to read Cosmic Cathedral's post here, and then I'll hand it off to you, Lunar. She says here in response to you, Voodoo, so yes, we do have our human collective consciousness that connects with the universal consciousness, and any other entities have their collective consciousness that connects to the universal consciousness as well. Go ahead, Lunar.
I was just going to say, someone had asked Bashar also about, this is what I was about, because they're saying up in levels, and I would say that the whole point, and to use an analogy, one channeler had mentioned that you can imagine Source or the Godhead as the sun, as an example. He says, if you were to put me in front of that Godhead, in front of that Source, that light, I would look like a grayish color. The point is to meld with that. And so people started asking questions. Well, if I raise up in awareness and levels and finally get up to the Godhead, what happens? Do I become like a hive mind and then I lose all sense of my awareness? And Bashar said no. And it sounds kind of like what he was saying, that apparently, even when you get to that level, it will always be from your perspective. You're never going to lose your sense of like self. So when, George gets to that level, or when a druid or consciousness gets to that level, it's from our realness, even at that level.
Can I interject there? So this is the third time I've been attacked.
Attacked.
And I'm not,
that's such a
yeah.
that's such a loaded kind of description.
And it's loaded as fuck, but it's not correct. There's been like now 3 times where I've gone into this realm to where I had like people stacking up. I mean, not even people, but just things stacking up that were trying to get into my head. It was like literally like I had opened a door and these things were just clamoring to try to get to me. And at one time I had to do a Lord's Prayer to get them out of my head. It was like there were a whole bunch of fucking entities that were trying to get into my head, and I was wondering, are we like just this free for all of like a vacation trip for entities that can just jump into a human's freaking mind and just go for a joyride?
Bro,
That's what it felt like.
That's a great question. And when I had my initial experience back in June of this year, I was talking with Pat P, and she's Dr. Greer's right hand for his ambassador program, and I've spoken with her on the phone for a couple hours. And in my initial encounters with the shadow people phenomena, it would scare the fuck out of me. All of a sudden I started becoming aware of these entities, and I didn't know what they were. So she gave me this golden nugget of advice, perhaps that you can implement the next time you get this sensation that these beings or entities are coming into your consciousness, that you do have an active role in telling them how you feel. She said, hey, yeah. George, next time these shadow entities appear, why don't you try telling them as soon as you perceive them, say, hey, the way you're coming across to me is a little much. If you guys can kind of scale it back a bit. And the reason why is because it scares me. So Pappy told me that, and I kind of implemented that when... Go ahead.
I said it would scare you because, and I'm not so diplomatic about this shit. I go, okay, there's a boundary, and you're not going to take over my mind, and that's what I felt they were trying to do. Not like, no joke. And I'm not down with that at all. And so that kind of worried me a little bit. I'm like, okay, am I like chewing off more than I can digest at the moment?
See, and here's the thing, and Greg Druid, I'll hand it off to you after this really quick blurb. Steve Mera as well as Edgar Mitchell, they've gone on the record by stating if any person is encountering any type of unwelcome or unwanted interaction with the phenomena, that you could perhaps get some iron, the metal, because of its resonant frequency. Steve Mera wears this iron kind of necklace to ward off negative aspects of the phenomena. He also suggests that, if it's becoming a thing where you are experiencing these things at night, go get yourself a ultraviolet light bulb. The resonant frequencies of iron and an ultraviolet light bulb, they've seemed to work in historical antiquity. Yeah, so that would be my advice.
So the iron is a grounding thing. I think silver or gold would be better. I'm a bladesmith, so I have nothing but iron around me constantly.
Nice. Give it a try for science, bro. And Greg Drew, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to kind of interject with some of my own experiences. And Voodoo Lord, please feel free to reach out to me afterwards if you have any
That's
questions or you just want to chat. So I'm going to give you a little insight into some of the stuff I've gone through, at least the stuff, some of it that I can talk about. But when I was doing remote viewing and helping with getting people out of trafficking and missing people, it came across a lot of dark things. I mean, sure as you can imagine. So I would have to
Yeah,
go to these
there's some shit out
locations and
there.
try to figure out exactly where these people are. And you get a psychic feedback of all the horrible things that are happening, right? So one of the things that I found that I ran into was a lot of negative energies, and it took about a year or so until I started getting my feet under myself, where I would first ground myself. I would picture like a hut that it was a type of hut that I felt comfortable in. I would center myself mentally in there, and then that's where I would project out. So I would ground myself first, then project out, and then do my thing. The one mistake I made, and this just came with time, with fully understanding, is when I came out of a place of, okay, I'm gonna have to muster up all this, and I got to do this, and I got, like it was a chore, it was a kind of fight. I would have a lot of pushback against me myself, and this would be traveling through different
Yeah,
realities, different
you weren't
places.
flowing. You weren't
Mm-hmm.
flowing. You were
Yep.
fighting it.
Yep. So once I realized, like, okay, I have strength in myself, I'm going to go do this, and I'm not going to put up with kind of any ethereal stuff. I got like 90% of it cut out, and I didn't have to deal with it. I did do. There was
So
basic
Craig,
warding that I would do, but
I sorry to interrupt you, but can I
Mhm.
ask you a question?
Yes.
Did you feel that there was any nationality behind the things that were happening to you?
Explain that better.
Did you feel that there, because I definitely have felt this. So did you feel that there was a distinct nationality behind what was happening when you were being either scanned
Are you
or
suggesting the use of psychotronic technology from your
yes,
peer adversaries?
100%. 100%.
From what I can say, well, it wasn't psychotronic weapon. It would have been other RVers.
No,
That's
not
all I can say.
not demonic, but actual like trying to get in your head.
Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah. There was stuff that tried to get in my head for sure. There was
And
a few experiences where I crossed entities that apparently knew me very well. They
yeah,
um, they seemed to kind of claw at my
yeah,
my insecurities, or like kind of all
yeah.
the things they kind of knew. Yeah. So how I
Okay,
dealt with
I'm not an idiot. This shit actually fucking happened. I had to fight this shit off.
so how I got out of that, and how I got out of some of those situations, was first off reminding myself who I am, right? Like, of
Yep.
I have power. I'm a lot more than these lower frequency entities. Like, they can f off. Like, it's not an issue. When I came across some really valuable information too. Damien Eccles, he's on YouTube. Practices high magic. He has a lot of good kind of high. He has a lot of good content. High magic magicians. They usually view any type of entities or energy they cross as actually innately a reflection of the internal, and that I half agree with, because there is
I would say I would disagree with a large part of that.
that's fine. But one thing that I took from that standpoint was it puts you in a perspective that you're in control of your internal world, right? You're in control of your internal self because of the reality of these things. And I am coming from personal experience. The reality of these things is that they are trying to get under your skin, but if you allow that, then if you allow the fear come in and you allow them to kind of get under those, get under that, then they're going to have influence over you. And the important part, and I want to follow this up, John, if you're able to share your experience you just had, if that's okay, a little tiny bit. Okay. You have to approach it in a certain way to where it's not a fight. They just go away. It's like Chris said, oil and water. So go ahead, and John.
Okay, I try to project as much love and light as I can. I'm always trying to keep my frequency high, okay? I'm always trying to be upbeat. I wake up every day thinking it's a new day, man. Great things are going to happen. And such things like joining UAP Society comes as a result, okay? I mean that with all seriousness. Anyway, so this was on January 1st, and Cosmic Cathedral and I were going to, we were contacting our positive entity group, which we've had a year and a half of contact. It wasn't like, wham, hey, there you are. Nice to see you, John. Nice to join in with you. Let's talk. It was kind of more like very kind of methodical, very slow, the feeling that you're being observed, but you're not going crazy and all that kind of things, to where eventually I got myself rods through Transcendence, made that suggestion, and I got dowsing rods, and then I got a spirit box, and then we started communicating with these entities, right? So January 1st, after a year and a half of doing this, January 1st, her and I are sitting in the kitchen, we're contacting the entity group that called themselves M. And I go to the restroom, back out, and she's like this. And I said, what happened? And she said, something that I could not see, but I could sense. It's a feeling of knowing. Came behind me and came around me, and I'm trying to figure it out. This isn't something that I've felt before. She's very in tune with feeling. Me, I guess, I'm more kind of like the community, okay? I'm still to figure all this stuff out. I don't know all the answers. I'm never going to say I do. And it started strangling. I couldn't breathe. I felt I just felt it. And so I said, is it still doing that? And she said, no, it went away. Well, it didn't, okay? Because as she's talking to me, I used to have, right? Or I had a hard punch in my heart. And I'm like, okay, I got to sit down. That calmed down. She went into the bathroom later, okay? And she came out of the bathroom and said, something touched me on the back, right? So we get the rods out, and I start communicating with M, this entity group. There's a definite separation between the vibes we get from that entity that was doing the attacks and the vibe that we got from M, which we've had contact with for a year and a half. Through coming over the spirit box, things that are being said, some are exactly positive, repeat messages that we've heard from the positive entities. And then there's this other one that's in there. They're there, and they're communicating almost with each other. And I'm asking, at the same time, I'm asking the rods, I'm like, hey, you probably can't do this because something known as free will, but can you help me out here to get rid of this negative entity that is bothering us? And the rods said no, but that meant direct. So what they were doing is, after listening to the recording, because we record these things, is they're giving us messages of love to try to bolster our love. And I thought, you know what, with this negative entity, what we're going to do is, I held her hand, she held mine, and we focused. I love myself with all my quote-unquote faults, with everything that I've been through, with everything in my life, and I love her, Melissa, in the same way for who she is. We love each other. And because, and this goes to what Chris was saying, in the belief that everything is one, you have to believe that everything is one, okay? That negative entity is a reflection and part of me as well. So we built that love for each other up, and then we offered it to the negative entity, saying, you know what, instead of being service to self, instead of causing us pain, instead of trying to raise yourself in that way, have our love and join us in that love. Okay. That now becomes its choice. We've taken control of the situation. Okay. And now we've said, no, actually, the option is yours. What are you going to make of it? It departed. We heard it through the spirit box. It departed. Okay. A few days later, something else happened, but it was totally and completely separate. And this was why my point about the beacon thing, okay, is that we can try to be as positive as possible and think that, and this is a personal belief, and think that shields us from everything, okay? I'm invincible. There are positive entities out there. It's just like humanity. There are positive entities out there. There are negative entities out there, okay? And when you make yourself known, okay, like some people are going to watch this, they're not going to like me. I don't know why. They're just not going to. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. There's going to be some people that are going to like me. Okay. But when we deal with those things, the best thing that we can do is not accept what they're giving us, right? Like I didn't accept the torment and the pain that this negative entity was trying to give to us, but understand it and then offer it our love. And then it becomes their choice. And it departed. And that's what it does. It comes down to free will. It comes down to choice. And we have free will, and these entities has free will, and the universe itself has free will. And that's how we combated that negative entity. I'm not saying that that's going to work for everybody. All I can do is make suggestions from my own personal experience. And so I would just try to say that if anybody faces negative entities, it's difficult. It really depends on the situation. Okay, this one we had time to process it, to put that energy out there, and we were able to do so. You know, if it's an attack like I don't want to give it too much what Nebula was saying about, but Nebula had kind of gone through something that I went through on the same night a few days later, okay? And it was very much a quick thing. It was like, wham, it was that gut punch,
George,
get out.
Did I tell him about my real experience at Gasser's Park?
Sure. Before we get into that, I'm reminded of this.
No, I'm listening to what you're saying, by the way.
Very cool. But before we get into that, brother, I'm reminded of this term called transmutation. Allie, if you're still there, can you tell the audience what to transmute or transmutation means? I guess she's still cooking.
No, yeah,
Oh,
I am. I'm actually putting together some food, but so transmutation involves the idea that everything is made of energy, and energy can neither be created nor destroyed.
Yeah.
It can, however, take form on either side of the spectrum. So if you're experiencing something negative, you do what John did and offer it the opposite. And essentially, it's like two waves in the water hitting each other. Once they meet, they create a different dissonance or a different ripple effect, right?
It's
so
like
if you're able to offer out the opposite,
it's like adding acid to a
base,
to borax.
Yeah, to a base.
Yes, exactly.
Essentially, yeah, but energetically instead of chemically. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the challenge is in those circumstances, it's usually the fight is against the fear they're trying to instill or whatever. That's where the fight is. If we like, wait, no, I'm not going to engage in this. I'm going to give love. That's what happens.
So something else that comes up in near-death experiences and channelers, they bring this up when it comes to like negative entities, just to demystify some of it. It's also mentioned because a lot of times when we say negative entities, we kind of say, oh, they're evil. And, saying things like that is like building up separation. You are separate from me. We are not the same.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Because
yeah,
what is evil to us? Evil is something that we just don't understand.
Can I jump on that?
Yeah, go for it.
I think of this all the time. And sorry, I just got disconnected. But what you're describing, talk about earlier, I'm not so sure the Godhead, where he may be indifferent to our suffering. I'm not saying that is what I believe, but I see a possibility for that. But while we're talking about like conscious groups I feel like we're all part of the same conscious group, and whether we could be selfish about this, we could still want a better future, whether it's better for the Godhead or not, we could still try and do that for ourselves. So whether morality is from the top down or not, we can invent morality because we know about morality. Like having a conscience, that's one of our benefits, is that we can push that back and forth, left or right.
We can make a decision one way or another.
Well,
Yeah, amen. Free will. That's how many parables kind of describe this.
So here's the
that's irrefutable almost.
Here's the crazy thing is, and this is not the first time. It's probably the third or fourth time where I've been told I'm Shiva. And so I'm standing there with this just awesome amount of understanding, and I feel it vibrate through my muscles, and it's saying you are Shiva, and there's also been times where it's saying you are Jesus, and I'm going, well, yeah, that's kind of what
we're all one.
We're all one.
We are all one, and not that I think I'm fucking actually Jesus, but I kind of have the Jesus energy, and that's why I try to live my life, which is hard.
Exactly, man.
But and even Shiva, when he's invaded to the point to where he go into violence, there is something about us that is in that.
Yes, and my perspective, again, I'm not trying to force anybody, and I don't know much more I'll be able to say about it, is that, and just give me a moment here, the universe created us so it could experience itself, and is trying to figure out
100%.
itself.
100%.
And yes, and so when it's doing so, it's combating itself. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I this? Am I that? Am I? And so it's coming out in all these forms. The whole concept of morality is the universe as a human organ universe. It's called morality. And look at how these other parts of me are dealing with this concept of morality. How this concept
what
of
it's
this
trying to do
and that.
is it's trying to write a balance. It's trying to find balance of what we see, what we perceive, and how we go about what we do.
So, but by doing so, we're trying to understand so. When we have these other NHIs, okay, these other NHIs that are contacting us and giving us their wisdom, or trying to scare us and keep our vibration low, okay, or knock us down a couple notches, if you will, that's just them as part of the universe trying to experience itself. And so then you get into this whole conundrum about, like, again, what is evil, what is perception. From my reality is that of positive entities, it is service to others. That doesn't mean self-sacrifice. To negative entities, it's service to self, and I get this from the raw material, of course.
At one time, it was self-sacrifice.
Depending, there's martyrdom and stuff like that, which I don't want to touch on.
If you go back through the Aztecs and you go into the Old Testament, stuff like that, it was self-sacrifice.
But in the name of what? And that is the question. In the name of what?
Well, can I speak?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I'll try to be as succinct as possible. You guys have given me a little bit of a voice, and I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you very much. I don't come on very often, and I appreciate you guys. So far, everything that I've so far the things that I have seen, they've given me uh, a vague glimpse of what reality really is, and it's hard to say it correctly, but so far it's been fuck.
Continue to struggle with it. You know,
Yeah.
you're not the only one having these thoughts. You know, there are people just like you who are trying to make sense of their experience and the revelations that the phenomena brings. And by having this kind of conversation with fellow experiencers who are sincere about
We
this
don't
topic.
get that enough.
No, we don't. And I'd like to extend our collective appreciation to you for talking about this really heavy-duty stuff. We know it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It gets down to the existential core of what it means to be human and our individual place in everything. You know, and it's hard. I can totally relate. Everyone relates here.
It's pretty fucking hard. You know, like if we go back to the stuff that happened to me in the 90s when we were attacked, over a fence, I just like psychically attacked. You look at that, you just go, okay, where did that come from? I have no fucking idea. Was I the only person that happened to? Nope. There was another dude that was right there with me, and we all fucking had the same thing happen at the same time. And it's like,
yeah, the coincidence is uncanny. Yeah. And just to give you a bit of reassurance, I've spoken with numerous experiencers, and one of my co-hosts, James, I guess when he was in college, and you know he's worked for the DoD, and he's got quite the acumen, and he's quite the professional. He had an encounter or experience with the phenomena that his roommate downstairs experienced that very same day, and only a couple of days later, the roommate was like, "Hey, did you have this experience?" And James didn't even tell him about it beforehand. And they were amazed about the synchronicity and coincidence and description of their shared astral experience. So something is going on.
There ain't no coincidence.
No, there are no coincidences. Everything is purposive. There's a purpose to why people around the world are experiencing the phenomena in the way they do, whether it be positive, whether it be not so positive, but we can't figure this out on our own. And for the audience watching out there, it's going to take a community for us to make sense of it. You know, we all have pieces of the puzzle. Allie, can you share with everybody before we sign off here? Because I want to honor everybody's time. What is that awesome quote you have about puzzle pieces?
We all are puzzle pieces that bring you experience and perspectives, and when you snap those bitches together, it looks motherfucking good.
Fuck yeah, it looks
That's right.
motherfucking good. We gotta snap these motherfucking stories and experiences together because it provides a holistic picture of what the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's optional whether you want to curse when you're putting those pieces together or not, you know. But yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Curse words are actually kind of are a good way to kind of explain it.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
like
I could be
laughing.
like a pirate. It ain't no big deal.
And research has
man.
shown that the people who cuss the most, who use a lot of colorful languages with the fucks and shits,
Are probably the more intelligent people.
and they're the most honest, so fucking let it fly. Just like Jeremy Corbell throughout all 3 episodes of the UFO Revolution. And once again, Voodoo Lord, please join us for our next episode next week, Friday. And any experiencers out there that would like to share their story about their encounter with the phenomena so we can make sense of it. Everyone out there has a piece of the puzzle, and it's important for all of us to share. Not only that, the way you can support whistleblowers that are putting their lives and reputations on the line to bring about truth and transparency, the one thing you can do is putting your face out there, putting your name out there, and not being afraid of the decades-long stigma and disinfo campaign. right? You're not crazy. The
Yeah,
motherfuckers,
that's
who
something
don't
for
believe in the reality of the phenomena are the crazy ones. The burden of proof is on them. All right? So don't be scared.
pretty much. Dude, I ain't scared at all.
Hell yeah, that's what
Yeah,
it's
our
about.
experiences are not balloons. Our experiences are not balloons. You know, I mean, if people like Mick West want to have their balloons running their lives, then good. And bird poop on camera lenses. The whole three part was really well done. I just want to go ahead and reiterate. If anybody in the audience has not watched all three parts,
Honestly, what did you guys think about the? What'd you guys think about the freaking the footage? I was trying to piece like really take apart that footage. I'm like, I can't. It's pretty fucking right there.
I'll share with you a link that we just posted on UAP Society. It's a short clip of episode, I think it was 1, where I put on the screen that there is this rotational aspect to this jellyfish or spaghetti monster UAP that indicates dimensionality. And when I saw that, I was convinced. I'm like, that's not bird shit on the glass housing.
Man,
there you go, John. There you go, Ryan.
You can see that thing's legit. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's listening because
Agreed. And we have to reconcile the fact that the military guy, the Marine that went on News Nation, he was like, it didn't go in the water. But it stands in stark contrast with what Jeremy Corbell says. Hey, the DoD has footage, 17 minutes of it being in the water and shooting off at a 45-degree angle. So we still gotta iron out all those inconsistencies. And again, to honor your time, everybody here, you guys want to say your piece, and we'll sign off for today.
Bye, everybody. It was fun.
Thank you, Leslie. Lunar, what do you got to say to the beautiful audience out there?
Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for. And sorry, I'm like typing in the chat by accident because I used the wrong letter. But anyway, I'll just end with this quote that was said about the negative and positive polarity of everything, and almost nothing.
That's all or nothing.
All right, and we got Ryan Wood. You got any last imparting words of wisdom to the UAP Society for those that are watching our episode today?
Words of wisdom. I don't know. That's a lot to put on me at the end, man. But I'm grateful for the time that we're all spending here. I'm grateful for we're gonna it's a permanent artifact for any generation or anyone in the future that wants to listen or that are here having real experiences. We're not afraid to share them. You know what I mean? We're really breaking some real ground here. I am a firm believer that this is change at the least, but this is like good. This is a good change. Thank you guys once again for anyone that's brave today, for sharing your experience and kind of putting your neck on the line for it or putting your face out there. Like it's inspiring the next generation. If it takes how this is the way we do it. So thank you guys again and have a great night.
I agree with that. Can I say something?
Sure, you can.
Okay. I want to think this is all fucking love and roses and all that stuff. That so far what I've come across multiple times is there's a dark to this, and I say dark side by the way that I see things. Who knows if that's dark side on their side? You know, maybe that's just kind of normal on their side. But I have seen a side that I was very uncomfortable with. So I have, and I want to think that everything that we have experienced so far has just been light and love, and everything's just fucking kumbaya and great. I don't necessarily think that.
Agreed.
And
the phenomena is not all light and love.
And I don't think it is. And there's no way I'm ever gonna think that is, because so far my experience has not been that.
All right.
It's largely been that, but there's a part that I just am not sure about, and I just have to say that I'm a very honest person.
Very good.
So,
Thank you for
that's
sharing.
all I
You're
have
not
to
the
say.
only one that holds that sentiment. I hold that sentiment too. But let's pass off the torch, and Voodoo Lord, we can continue this at our next week's episode, because we have to look at both positive and not so righteous, right? Grey Druid, then John, and then Allie. Say your piece.
Well, thank you again. Thank you, Voodoo Lord, for sharing your experience. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. And anybody else who wanted to share their stories, both positive and negative, it's equally as important that we're able to share. Some of us have experience, some of us don't, and we're learning, and that's okay. And the important part is that we all know that we're supported with our brothers and sisters, that we're all one together. We've had, negative experiences, positive experiences. The important part is that we know that we all have each other's back, and we're going to keep pushing this forward of the phenomenon of disclosure on it, and that truth is not going to be embargoed. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and thank you again, George and UAP Society, for making this platform. I'm going to hand it off to John.
Hey, I agree with a lot of your sentiment, Gray, and I just have to say this again from my own personal experience, is that when I first started talking about, I didn't talk about, but when I first started talking about the CE5 after a CE5 that it had on January 1st, I wanted to make specific note that I was not conveying the message of the negative. I wasn't like they attacked us, and now I am going to go ahead, and I'm not saying anybody in here is doing it. Please don't misunderstand me. Take a message of fear and pain and project it on anybody that was listening to me, because as I looked at it, mine was kind of like a positive. It became a positive experience on how we dealt with that negative aspect. And there's a duality. As much as a non-dualist belief system would be great, there is always the universe is dual. All right, then you have the Shiva, like you said, you felt like you were Shiva, and you were told that you were Shiva. We are all of those things. Yeah. Okay, we are all of those, as much as we are the rock, the fish.
At the same time.
See, and there you go. So it is when dealing with the negative aspect, it's really a choice of not just how we deal with it, but how we express it to others. And so I would say this, that I hope, because you said that you had a lot of experience, there have mostly been negative. And I hope that maybe throughout this conversation that you start having more positives. There's definitely a dark aspect to the like once it gets a hold of individuals, then it's trying to, as I said last night during episode 2, it's like we have this consciousness that's coming out of the darkness, and with that consciousness comes that part of the consciousness where it's trying to push us back down, and it's trying to keep us under control. So it's this battle of wills almost, okay? And so as long as we can continue to recognize it and then deal with it face on and then move forward, the better off we're
important thing.
Yes.
If you can't see it happening, then you're slipping. You're missing the
100%.
The point. And if you, because you have to be honest with what you're seeing. If you're not seeing it for what it is, then you're making a huge mistake.
Right. And that has to deal with our free will as well, which I don't want to get into right now. But anyway, I'd just like to say that, this was a great 3-part series. You said next Friday, is it continuing as far as season 2? So like next week, going to be more. So where are we sitting at with this Corbell production?
All right, very cool, everybody. And Nebula and Leslie, you two have the last words of wisdom for our audience. Looks like Leslie shared.
Well, I
go
just
ahead.
can send some love. I kind of said bye, but I'm just I got stuff going on, so I'm not as free right now. But just much love to everyone, and thank you everyone who will be watching this. And I'm joining and join conversations too. And I think we could just keep growing and expanding together, spreading messages and just things that we talk about that are super important. And we are love, we are light, we are energy and consciousness, and yeah. So let's just keep going.
Thank you for sharing,
That's
Leslie.
it.
Awesome, that was beautiful. And Nebula, last but not least. What do you got to say, sis?
Hello, thank you, George. I just want to say it's been a wild last 16 years, and I know it's only going to get wilder and wilder and at an increasing rate. But no matter what we encounter this year and the coming years, just remember, like y'all said, there is a duality in the universe, and but no matter what happens, just release the negative energy and stay positive, because I think that's what the negative entities want to do on us, to change our mindset.
Is the most important part. I think that's absolutely 100%.
Thank you so much. But yeah, just don't let them change your narrative and change your experiences. I mean, yeah, they can do bad things to you, but hold that love, send them love, and if they don't want that, then they will go out of your life. So release any negative traumas that you've had, do your shadow work, and it's going to be okay. And if not, we're here for each other. We can, talk about our experiences and heal and get through them. But I love you guys so much, and continue to shine your light for yourself and each other. Love you guys.
Thank you. That was
yeah.
beautiful, Nebula.
Love you too.
And with that note, Leslie, I'm going to share this one last quote that you had put in the chat. Love yourself first, and everything else hopefully falls into place. Signing off, and until
That's
next
right.
week, we love you. We're
I like
here
the
for you.
hopefully part.
What was that? What was that,
I
brother?
like the hopefully part.
There you go. That's a positive thing you can take away. Reflect on it, friend, but we will see you again next time. Peace.